If you're a concealed carry permit holder like I am, you've probably spent some time nailing down your system, figuring out how you're going to carry your firearm, how you're going to do it most comfortably, and thusly most consistently. I'm a late Boy Scout, and I'm going to talk to you about my system. I've introduced both these pieces before. This is the Glock Sport Combat Holster and the Glock Mag Pouch. The key to carrying your firearm in this and your spare mag in this is a good belt. So this video is on just that, a good belt. I am here to review the 511 trainer belt. This is the one I've been using for, oh man, a month or so now, I don't know, a while now. And I'm very happy with it. Very, very happy with it. It's been well worth the money, and well worth, yeah, just, I'm really glad that I bought it. Let's just leave it at that. Well, let's not leave it at that. Let's talk a little bit about what the belt is and why I'm so happy with it. Well, I initially started looking at this because I knew that 511 made good gear, and it's all sort of tactical stuff, but also stuff that's good for police and law enforcement personnel, as well as military, that can also be used off-duty, stuff that looks good for concealment and sort of everyday wear. The khaki pants they make and some of those things that you've seen Nut and Fancy introduce look really good. And I've shopped around and seen some of the cool stuff that's out there that they make. And I was really interested in what they had, and when I saw that they offer belts, I was like, I am going to buy myself a 511 belt. I just don't know which one yet. So I started looking and trying to figure out which one I wanted. I settled on this one. This is the 511 trainer belt. I think I already said that. I'm not sure. It's the trainer belt, meaning it's 1.5 inches this way, 1.5 inches. There's another one called the, hold on, I'm looking on the website here, called the operator belt, which is 1 3/4 inches. So not much wider. So another, quarter of an inch wider. So it's just a little bit wider, and if that's kind of the one that you would wear as your duty belt, I think. I'm not a police officer. I never was. Never have been in the military, so I can't speak authoritatively on that. But 1 3/4 is obviously thicker, and I think that means that's the one you would wear if you are on duty. The trainer belt, however, is a little more versatile in my opinion, given that it's a little bit narrower, and it's also just closer to what I had been wearing, that size. And so, yeah, I wanted to stick with that size, and I was, excited to find out that they had this belt in that size. So what's so great about this belt? Well, you got this awesome stainless steel buckle, painted black. It's got a, let's read about the buckle itself. Yeah, well, it's finished in a black matte finish, whatever this is. I don't think it's necessarily like a titanium nitride or anything, but it's a matte black finish, which looks good. And it's, the buckle itself is rated to 6,000 pounds. Yeah, so, you could probably pull a car with it. What else? The stitching on this thing is kind of what makes the belt. There's the fact that it's it's 2 layers of nylon here, pretty much throughout. You've got, well, actually this right here, this area right here is I think 3 layers thick. And then 2 layers, 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 all the way to the velcro. And I'll talk about the velcro in a minute, all the way to here where it goes back down to 1 layer, and that's where it actually goes through the buckle and around the buckle and back around itself, and then attaches to this velcro. Now, the velcro is just kind of there to take up the excess, which is brilliant, I think. Brilliant that they've got it velcros to itself to take up the excess, but also to provide an even more positive, even more secure connection with this belt. So you're wearing it like this, basically, and then it wraps around into itself, right? Okay, so that alone is going to be very, very strong. Pull that tight, and it's going to. Yeah, I am pulling as hard as I can right now, and it's not going anywhere. That is very, very strong. But added, they're not satisfied with that, so they've also added this big strip of Velcro, big, long strip of Velcro here, where this connects, and is able to take up the excess in that way. Very, very cool. Very cool. Now, you may or may not be able to see this with this, the focus on this camera. It's not that great, but I think you can see here. Hold on, this is the only pointer I've got available. Well, no, it's not. It's not the only pointer I've got available. Thanks to Power Mac, I've got this Bird Crow. All right, so we've got stitching going here, then more right here, then more right here, and if I'm not mistaken, I think right at the very edge, at the top and bottom. So this thing is stitched like crazy. I mean, it's tough. Okay, basically what that means is your 2 layers of nylon are not coming apart, and more than that, you're gonna have a hard time squishing this down, getting this thing to fold in half, and that's the point of it. That's the whole point of this thing, supporting your firearm. That's what this belt is made to do, and it does it so well, guys. I'm really, really satisfied with how well this thing works at that job. How well what a great job it does at that job. I mean, I'll show you the belt I was using before, but here's what you're looking at, okay? That's how that fits in there. And yeah, I've got a little extra space, so if I had the 1 3/4, it'd probably work okay, but this is, for most of the pants that I wear, this actually fits better, so, and it works just fine with this, and then I can give it a little cant if I needed to. But man, this thing is not squishing down. The weight of that gun is not going to squish this down, fold this belt in half. It's tough. It's super tough. Let's compare that. I use both of these pieces, by the way. I do use both of these pieces on this belt, and it's fantastic. Works great for both of them. I'll show you now what I was using before I found the 511 belt. This is your average run-of-the-mill Army Navy surplus web belt. Okay, very cheap. Yeah, it's still nylon. Okay, it's still pretty strong. It's probably not going to bust. It's probably going to take a lot to cut this or break it. Actually, probably not going to take that much to cut it. I'm sure I can get the job done with this pretty quickly. But I'm not going to. I'm going to save this and maybe put it to another task later. My point is, this stuff, you can see how it twists around and how easily it bends and how easily it folds in half. Okay? And it's very cheap buckle going on here. Very, very cheap buckle. Of course, this was a very, very cheap belt. It cost me all of $6 or $7 from that Army Navy surplus store. But this thing is just infinitely better, infinitely stronger. I can't fold that in half. I can't squish that. I can't do it. I'm squeezing hard. It's not working. I recommend, this is the key to wearing a gun on your hip, wearing it on your belt. The key to that, wearing your gun in that position, if you are a concealed carry permit holder or if you carry a gun for any reason, the key to it is having a good belt. And you might think, I can just grab whatever belts I pick up off the store shelf, go to any department store and say, hey, this looks like a nice tough leather belt. I'll give that one a go. And you can do that, but you know what? You're going to go through a lot of leather belts that way, a lot of cheap leather belts, because that's what they are, man. And I tried them out. I went that route for a while, and I was sure that I had a good leather belt that was going to work for me. No, dude. In a very short amount of time, I realized that thing was not working for me. So that's when I investigated 511, found this fantastic belt. This is the 511 trainer belt again. This is the 1.5 inch wide. If you want the 1 3/4 inch wide, that's the 511 operator belt. I recommend this as a great belt, not just for concealed carry, but for any sort of outdoor activity, any sort of active, whatever. You want some real support. You want something that's a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more all-weather than leather. Go with this, man. Spend the dough and get a good belt. This was, by the way, when I bought it, it was about $30, and I think you can find it for around that on Amazon.com. And I think on 511's website for about $35. 511, dude. 511 trainer belt. I fully recommend it. This is what I've been using. I'm totally happy with it. I'm the late Boy Scout talking belts. We'll chat with you later. Bye.